Yo, what's going on with y'all? It's your boy NeoXO coming back at y'all with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Black Clover chapter 306. It was a very good chapter. We finally get the backstory of Zenon, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So let's get right into the video. Into the video, the chapter starts off with Yuno shooting his arrow directly into Zenon's chest, and it pretty much goes straight through his body. Like, it leaves a hole in his chest, and the reason that it was able to do this is because it was just so fast and so powerful that Zenon was basically helpless against it. Zenon couldn't dodge it because it was just moving at a speed that was so incredible, and you know, it's kind of backed up by Zenon saying what speed, and to think it could pass through my body, like, you know, because he has those bones and it's like really good at defense. Like, that bone magic is really good at defense, but it shoots directly through his body. We see some blood in his mouth, so that's not really a good sign for Zenon. And right after that, it kind of sends him into a flashback, and we see his face is all beaten up. Then we see Vanica and Dante really talking down on him. Vanica's calling him a loser, and Dante is pretty much thinking like, wow, to think that you're my little brother, that's pretty pathetic. And you know, it's kind of in line with their characters. You know, some people are like, why? You know, because in this chapter we get Zenon actually why he is the way he is. But when it comes to Dante and Vanica, I feel like people wanted to know why they are the way they are. But in this flashback, it seems to me at least that they have always just been like this. Like, Dante is just as narcissistic and arrogant as always, and Vanica is just so like happy-go-lucky kind of, you know. That's how Vanica just always was to me. But we see Zenon actually talking to his big brother, because Dante isn't the oldest sibling. There's another sibling who's in a wheelchair. Not really sure why he's in a wheelchair. I'm sure that's going to be a plot point in the future, because I'm sure at some point he was probably really powerful, and then maybe some type of event happened that caused him to wind up in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And you know, it's gonna have to come at some point, because we haven't met this character, and they didn't even show his face in this. They just showed him from behind, so we haven't even gotten a face reveal of this character. Just kind of a mysterious figure that was introduced in this chapter. Now, the eldest brother pretty much reassures Zenon there's nothing to worry about, that Zenon is the most talented when it comes to devil possession, and he's even more talented than Dante and Vanica. It seems like the older brother was also really talented, because he compares the two to each other. And moving on, like, we just see Zenon actually getting beaten up again, and it seems like a regular occurrence, because he got beaten up earlier in the chapter, then like literally the next page he's getting beaten up again. And we can see, like, with Vanica and Dante, when they're talking about it, they're like, oh, you got beaten up again. So it's kind of like a regular occurrence. Then it seems like one day a guy named Allen came in and actually saved Zenon from getting attacked, and he was basically getting attacked by, you know, the magic defense, the children of the magic defense, you know, like, so the next in line to be in the magic defense, I would assume, kind of similar to how Asta and you know were peasants, but they were joining the Magic Knights. You know, it's kind of similar, but people like the Silvers, with the exception of Noel, pretty much had a spot from birth in the Silver Eagles, you know. So moving on, they were basically bullying Zenon because of his magic type. Bone magic is kind of creepy, but I mean, hey, when you're in a series like this, magic is magic. All right, he's powerful, and nothing really should shock you at this point. So they were really creeped out by his bone magic, and they just was beating him up for it, just because it was different. You know, it wasn't the typical fire or water magic. It was something real different. He got bones shooting from his body. Now Allen comes along and he saves him, and he's like, so what that, you know, Zenon has a different magic type. It's still magic, you know. And that kind of reminds me of Asta. Asta's like, so what if somebody's a peasant? They're still a person, you know what I mean? And Allen definitely has some parallels to Asta, and Zenon definitely has some parallels to Yuno. So going on, like, they really have as a pair together, they both parallel the rivalry of Asta and Yuno. Now, after this day right here, we can see Allen pretty much says he wants to be the chief and commander of the Magic Defense Force. In my opinion, that's probably like the equivalent of the Magic Knights of the Spade Kingdom. So he wants to basically be the leader of that in the top position. And Zenon says, you know, pretty much, I want to be that too. So from that day forward, they were rivals. And that's really, really parallel to how Asta and Yuno became rivals, because Asta saved Yuno from getting beaten up. And, you know, it inspired Yuno, similarly to how Allen inspired Zenon, and they ended up becoming rivals. In Yuno and Asta's cases, to see who's going to become the Wizard King first. And in Allen and Zenon's cases, to see who's going to become the Chief and Commander first. Now, it seems like Zenon was actually a lot different from Dante and Vonica. He actually turned down initially getting a devil from his brother. He told his eldest brother, he's like, I'm not interested in getting a devil. Sorry about that. I'm not really interested. I want to be in the Magic defense. So he gets accepted into the Magic defense, you know, big moment, kind of like whenever Asta and Yuno got accepted into the Magic Knights. And it's a big moment for Zenon and Allen, and they're ready to go. They're on the same squad, and they're in the same squad, because they have to go to this dungeon and basically, you know, complete the dungeon. Now, some things happen when they go to the dungeon. Little did they know when they got to this dungeon, they would have a devil. Now, this is not one of the highest ranking devils or anything like that. It isn't a Tree of Clifford devil, nothing like that. It's just a ordinary devil, pretty much. And it was just unbelievably powerful. It was able to take down their whole squad whenever they were in there to defeat this devil. It was just really, really hard for them. It was hard for them to find an opening. The devil was having overwhelming power, and this is just a regular devil. Now, granted, this is pretty early in Zenon's career, so probably if it was later in his career, we could say that he could have been able to beat the devil more efficiently. He ended up beating the devil, but it wasn't really efficient, considering what he had to sacrifice. Like, he had to sacrifice a lot in order to beat this devil. So he has like an ultimate spell, and he has to use it, but the thing is, he couldn't find an opening. Now, Allen is a little more brave, I guess you can say, because Allen is a little more like outgoing, because he went head on to defeat this devil. Like, he tried to go straight at it with a flame sword, and Zenon is like, no, we have to look for an opening. But at the same time, it's just, what can you really do in that type of situation? So in that situation right there, Zenon basically is like, okay, we have to kill this devil now, because if we don't kill this devil, it's going to attack the citizens, and it's going to actually kill them. So it seems like he's more of an anti-hero, because he had to choose killing his friend to protect the village, and that's what he ended up doing. Like, he was pretty much going to die if he did not do this. So he was faced with a tough decision, because he wasn't strong enough to do it without this. Now, Allen going at the devil with his flame sword, it left the opening necessary for Zenon to go ahead and use his ultimate attack, and it just pierces straight through Allen into the devil, and Allen was basically taken out as collateral. This is where Tenacity comes in. Tenacity pretty much means like determination or persistence. So in the beginning of the chapter, we see Yuno saying he won the battle because of tenacity, but in this flashback, we see Zenon saying, without power, neither emotions nor tenacity mean a thing. So maybe he's gonna learn that tenacity actually can pay off, because Yuno just said he won the fight because of tenacity, whenever Zenon in the past has literally said the opposite. And then, like, I feel like he had a radical change at that moment, because he goes on to say the weak should be discarded. And it's kind of in reference to him having to kill his friend, because the devil was going to kill them. So his friend basically had to be discarded in order for Zenon to move forward. And that's whenever Zenon was like, okay, power is very necessary. So he goes back to his brother, and he's like, okay, and it's like, okay, I'm interested in becoming a devil host. And that's when we see it cut back to present time, and we see Zenon floating with his devil, and he says, Beezlebub, let's make a deal. Now, this right here is very reminiscent of Asta making deals. We have Zenon floating in the space, kind of like the mental realm, or whatever you want to call it, where the devil is appearing as a large silhouette, kind of very, very similar to how the devil first appeared to Asta whenever they made a deal. Like, the devil appeared to Asta like this multiple times. One of the times, or two, I'll talk about two of them. The first time is when this happened, Asta actually gained the black form. So Zenon might gain a new form right here. And another time is whenever Asta made the deal to have that devil arm. So whatever happens, Zenon is about to get a power up if he gets this deal with Beezlebub. That's something to look out for. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's been your boy NeoXO, and I'm out.